Okay. It's not saying recording in progress, but it is recording.
Okay, everyone. This meeting is now called to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Bacon.
Here.
Mr. DeCosta.
Here.
Mr. Lawrence is absent. Ms. Lewis.
Here.
Ms. Martin.
Here.
Mr. Thielacker.
Here.
President Baoki.
Present.
Mayor DeMarco. Not present. Alexander Giorgetti.
Here.
Kevin Brett.
Here.
Chief Williams.
Here.
And myself, Krista Watt. Yes, so while we did announce it at our prior meeting on June 17th, we did make note of it on tonight's agenda that there was an executive session that took place on June 17th after the commencement of the meeting that was related to litigation, personnel, and other legal issues.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move to the public comment section. This is on agenda and non-agenda items. At this time, only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Forest Hills will be permitted to address council on any issue, whether appearing on today's agenda or not. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them who may speak for a maximum of 10 minutes. Speakers are asked to use the microphone at the speaker stand, clearly state your name and spell it, and state your address for the record. If you have any documents to share with council members, you may present them to the borough manager now. Council president will determine how those materials will be distributed and viewed for the meeting. Speakers are reminded that council uses these comment periods as opportunities to gather information and not to respond directly to concerns raised. Information gathered will not be discussed at the meeting, but instead will be referred by the council president to the appropriate committee for review and discussion at the next committee meeting. If it is not a matter for deliberation by a committee, but requires more immediate attention, it will be referred to the borough manager, who will respond by phone and or email within 5 business days following this meeting. Do we have anyone who wants to speak this evening?
Bill Tomasic, 140 Kennywood Road. So I'm here to address the situation involving the statement made by Yogi about the professionalism associated with March 14th and 15th. It was anything but professional. And that morning, we had the power outage, and we met outside to discuss. I and several of my neighbors, especially on the terrace. And she said to me, Bill, and I'm quoting her from the meeting, they can do nothing until the borough cleaned up the debris. So I made a statement about purported debris. So Duquesne Light has a guy who comes up to that's a professional and states that there is debris that needs to be cleaned up by him. He's not a professional. He has no business making that kind of statement. So now Dawn says to me, Bill, what can you do? So I said, here's Barb Martin's phone number. Give her a call. She needs to share a couple of words. Maybe she'll do something. So she calls her. Whatsoever she was up. Then I found out later on that Baoki came up. And he looked at the situation and he took some pictures. Pictures. I mean, is he a professional photographer? What's the deal with it? He has pictures. He doesn't call out the public works department when there's clearly debris. He uses the word corporate. There's debris on the borough street and in the borough right of way that needs to be cleaned up in order for Duquesne Light, the professionals who stated it will. So here we are. I said to Dawn, I'll send down some texts, some pics, whatever. Everything's concrete. But then he doesn't contact me. He doesn't contact anybody in our neighborhood. He just takes some pictures and leaves. You call that professional? Now, you know, we pay taxes. We're the public works department to do work when it's needed to be done. No such work was done by the public works department because he controls the government. So the next question is, since he was up there, did he make a personal assessment of the situation? Although he's not qualified to do that. Did he assess anything else in terms of safety issue? I sent you all 4 pictures. Did you get them? 4 pictures. Okay. So what you have is from March 14th. What can you see in that picture? What can you see in the other 2 pictures that I'll take them to? Fire hydrant. The fire hydrant was completely covered by that debris. So if a fire company had come, you know, when you have fire hydrants, people start heating their places with stoves and so on. And they had to use that fire hydrant. They wouldn't be able to find them. And when they did, they would have to clean the debris out. All right, in order to move out to that fire hydrant. He says that's professionally handled. I'm trying to figure out what his definition of professional is. So now we have 2 incidents there. First of all, they don't clean up the debris, so Duquesne Light can put power back on. He never told it. He never told it. That's unprofessional. He didn't contact Duquesne Light because they discussed that needed to be done. I mean, do I pay taxes for the public works to come out and do work that needs to be done? His actions were irresponsible. They're reckless. And they put the residents of that area at risk. So I don't know, this stuff goes beyond the line. You put people at risk because you don't act as you should.
5 minutes.
Okay, I'll be back on the 17th to continue.
Okay, we'll move on to committee reports, operations and policy. Mr. Lawrence is not here. Who's taking over?
Can I?
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the general report, I'm going to ask Ms. Watt to give us an update on this.
Yes, so to provide a process and guidelines for committee chairs to post meetings on the borough website. As it stands currently, there is, you all did agree to the tentative terms for holding public committee meetings. With that being said, part of those agreements were to post these at least 4 business days in advance. So committee chairs, if they choose to make their meeting public, will just need to notify me at least 5 business days in advance to make sure that I can post these on appropriate channels, including the borough website and Savvy Citizen. When doing so, I will just need the topics that will be discussed at the meeting in order to post. I will also need the location of said meeting, whether that be online or in person. For individuals that wish to attend, there is a sign-up form that's been established on the website. Individuals and our executive secretary is aware of the process if anyone would inquire. But an individual would sign up online if they would like to speak at the meeting, since it would be considered a special meeting. But they are not required to sign up to attend. But however, it would be recommended they sign up, especially if it is an online meeting. That is the way that we would get that link out to the individuals. That is the tentative process at this time.
Any questions? Okay, then. Moving on. Now, we offer a revised public comment statement that it's appropriate for individual committee meetings. I think we all just received this in our emails if you wanted to just take a quick look. We had to change some of the language around because it didn't make sense like we say, it'll be referred to the appropriate committee when you're already at the appropriate committee. I'm sorry, I'm not speaking to the mic. But, if you wanted to just take a look at that real quick, or if you want, we can just, wait for the next time, but, if you think that's okay, or have any questions or concerns, please bring them up.
Barbara, I remember when Jack asked us to emphasize that because we've only approved the committee situation until October, that this can stay in force until October, and if you want to make any changes after that, we can do that too. And then having said that, there is one thing I keep on mentioning that I think needs to be included in both our general meetings and our committee meetings. And that it has to do with what constitutes a group when somebody's here. So I feel like we need to add a statement that says that like you and at least one other member of the group must be here in order for me to take that 10 minutes. Otherwise, you know, they could say they're representing a non-existent group.
The group has to be present, actually, so.
Right, it doesn't
Yeah.
say that in the statement though, it just, you know,
No.
just to clarify.
And Ms. Lewis?
I think, I mean, generally this is fine, but I think it kind of echoes what we do here and assumes that the meetings are here, there is a microphone, you know, like all of that. If, you know what I mean, that might not always be the case, like some of the committee meetings are.
Yeah, I don't think that says that in that statement.
I,
Part of
this is
the,
what Krista just said.
right,
Okay.
there's another one that's more abbreviated that doesn't have that information in there.
I'm just
I,
reflecting.
no,
what
I
got
understand.
in my
I'm
head.
just telling you there's another one that has a more abbreviated. It doesn't have all that information in it.
So which one are we supposed to be?
We'll resend the one that's super abbreviated.
Okay, and that's the one you send for committees.
We're getting more abbreviated by the minute here.
Krista, could you title the email super abbreviated?
Will do.
Okay, and lastly, the discussion about signage, we've never really talked about that in committee, but we, you know, signs along the borough and people that put signs up. So we are gonna be discussing that in the future. I just wanted to let you know. Any other comments?
I think once, just a comment about that, I think once a procedure for how you request signage or whatever, we should try and blast that, because I never really noticed until we had that discussion. But since we did at the last meeting, I've realized that there are lots of places where organizations that are involved in our community put signs, as like there's one for the Woodland Hills Softball League on the fence across there, so I think like we should be really clear, because otherwise we're gonna be in this situation. I think Barb, you may have brought this up last time, where some people are posting signs, other people aren't. And then we get,
The Woodland Hills, they're sponsors of the team.
but they have a sign on our fence.
Well, we'll have to talk.
You know what I mean, like, we just need to be like really clear about what that means, like. Can the library post sign their tenant in the building, like, I think if we're gonna get really specific about that, we need to get really specific about it, cause
You know, we get fish fry signs. and-
there's signs like all over the place. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that, and I'll remember that when we have our meeting. Mr. Thielak, did you have something?
No, just Amy's comments, maybe kind of thinking, kind of along the same lines, I think being very careful, I guess, is the word I want to use. We don't have any like unintended consequences for going this far. One thing, I didn't even bring this up, which is kind of something I thought of, there's a sign across there for the garden club advertising the farmer's market. So, you know, how's that, what do you think?
That was done by 2 presidents ago.
Oh, yeah, no, then I go on, I'm not stay there, I'm just saying, you get 2 people, and this gets a little weird, you get too technical all of a sudden, somebody complained, wants to take that down, you know?
That was kind of my
That's something
point,
we-
like, it's a slippery, it can be a slippery.
Yeah, I just think we be very careful.
Yep.
Well, I think the reason for that sign was, that was after the culvert, work that happened on the Ardmore. And the farmer's market was gonna move to Churchill. And, President Erbaldinger said, no, you can come here. And, he wanted a sign put up. So that's what happened. That definitely. I'll be looking for fire hall signs too, so. Okay, anybody else?
That's what I mean.
Yes, sir.
I think on that note, maybe a good measure of success that the policy is good and implemented, we not needing to, not feeling the need to grandfather anything in. Like that,
Oh, yeah.
if we have everything present covered, then I think we'll do a good job.
Sounds good to me.
If you guys want to offer your feedback to us and policies, we'll look at it and talk about it, bring it back to you.
Okay, that ends arms and policy, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Finance Committee, Mr. Thielek.
Thank you, Mr. President. You have no motions for the meeting except for normal payment of bills. And the general report, our last meeting, we reviewed last year's, expense and revenues. That's just about it. What is anything else? Oh, yeah. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Thielek. Borough Property, Mr. Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, on the agenda here, it says recommended motions. This first one, we kind of got a little ahead on some things for this. I think a more appropriate, item for our intentions here would be to say, we'd like to move to advertise the removal of equipment located at Kirkwood Park. And the methodology and timing of this, I think is kind of be determined, I would say, with everything here's best judgment. For a good public, chance to have some feedback on this before we make a decision. For those who aren't familiar with Cliffwood Park, it does not actually appear on Google Maps. It is not on our official, list of parks. It is basically a small grassy area at the very end of Marwood that kind of looks like it actually is part of the, I think it's a 4-unit building there at the end. And it's got, I think, 3 existing swings and a slide that have been there for a very long time. They are very old, equipment that definitely has a lot of rust. And is potentially just a kind of general liability, at this point.
Just a clarification, Cliffwood Park does appear, it's under ordinance on our parks, so it is listed as a park that would require ordinance changes.
So I think it's something not a lot of people are familiar with, but I think we should still take our time with this, make sure that we capture those feedback. It's been in the state for a long time, so we want to make a decision and move forward and make sure it's not hazardous. I think it would behoove us to have a good opportunity for public advertising and feedback before we make that decision. Presumably at the August business meeting would be the time to make the decision. Are there any further questions on this regard? As well, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, the only thing I would suggest is that we utilize all of our communication methods, posting at the park directly, Savvy Citizen website, making sure that we are gaining any feedback, if there is any to be had, on the location. But then, given that there is an ordinance change, being that we would advertise the potential removal, we could do that in tandem with that as well. And that would add an additional communication method.
And I think when we say advertise, on one hand, we mean the official posting.
Yes.
There for the ordinance and such, and then the more effective in the 21st century advertising. Under Savvy Citizen and things for the actual public comment, just on behalf of council.
And I will note that will be in the Post Gazette, not the Valley Mirror, just in case anyone's following up. Yes.
Any further questions on that? Okay, so I guess we'll have a motion to get advertising at the business meeting. And then the next item, which is a recommended motion, as for the ability to authorize the Environmental Advisory Council and its volunteers to construct a chimney swift tower within Forest Lane Park through a program with the Pennsylvania Game Commission.
Can you explain a little more about what this is exactly? I know we talked about it a little bit, but I don't understand what it is.
Yes. Was what we need to summarize.
I can summarize, but if it would be permitted by council, we have two individuals in the audience that may be able to give a brief explanation. Yeah, would,
No,
no,
we'd be bypassing
okay.
our own rules.
Got it.
I mean, I would appreciate that they would be able to provide that information, but I think Mr. Bacon's been working closely. Maybe Mr. Bacon would like to provide that information.
I can also summarize it
Okay.
as well, not a problem. So the Chimney Swift Tower would be constructed by the Game Commission. The intended tower is rectangular in nature, and I would say extends approximately like 7 to 8 feet high off of its base. The base itself is concrete. The tower is constructed into the concrete, and it would be located between the soccer field, the edge of the soccer field, and the new retention pond that was recently constructed in Main Park. The goal is that this is located in an area that in Public Works has reviewed the potential location, that it would not disrupt the mowing around, the ongoing maintenance of the park area. Also, it would allow proper equipment to access the pond in the case of needing to perform maintenance on the pond, but also ensuring that the tower itself is a home for the chimney swift, so they is not shaded by tree cover or anything that will prevent them from living in the structure.
So I just wanted some clarification, because, I didn't think the Pennsylvania Game Commission was gonna be there volunteering to construct this. I thought that was, residents.
No,
So they're constructing the tower. The residents would be erecting the tower. The residents would be erecting the previously constructed tower in the concrete slab that would be done by a professional landscaping company.
Okay, so we are, is the reason why, is after your, we had the, meeting and, saw the pictures, I started doing a little research. And I like the way they're set up, but I just wanted to make sure, and I know you've done this already. It's 25 feet away from the site, I wasn't able to come to where the site was shown, from any trees. And that there will be a firm base, because it has to be concreted down. And I know we said in the meeting that they're pretty much maintenance free, but there are some things that can happen, insects, if it gets wet. So I just wanted to point that out, that as long as it's a professional company doing that base, I have no concerns.
Ms. Lewis had a question.
My question is just for clarification about whether or not council can invite experts who are here to be able to provide information for council. Like Ms. Martin has a question about the construction. I think that's very different.
Had they
I think,
invited speakers?
Angela,
Yes.
if I could just finish my sentence. I
Sure.
think that's very different than public comment. And I think it is absolutely within the purview of the law for council to invite experts to speak. And I don't think it's a violation of public comment. And I think to Ms. Martin's question, these two women who have come here could provide information. So I'm asking actually the solicitor to please comment and let us know that it is in fact okay for these two women to speak and answer the question of our council so that we can get the information we need to make a decision. Thank you.
I have no questions.
And I second, Ms. Lewis's request.
Yeah.
Ms. Lewis, please.
Okay, so generally, again, when we are talking about comments on agenda items, that will be something for public comment. However, since they are, from what I can tell from the agenda, involved in this project and are one of the parties that are kind of spearheading this and do have that insight, it likely would be helpful to let them speak here. It should not be a violation of general public comment rules, and provided we stay on track and we stick to the agenda item here.
Unfortunately,
Thank you for that.
unfortunately, they were not listed as invited speakers, which they should have been.
Respectfully, are you members of the EAC? They are on the agenda.
They were not invited speakers. Sorry,
Angela, this is.
they were not invited
It's
speakers.
ridiculous.
No, it's not.
Yes,
And I
it
have-
is.
I have
It's
no-
ridiculous.
I have no objection to them doing this.
They are here.
But
to
we are
provide
bypassing- We are bypassing our stated
Sir.
public comment
It's
policy.
absurd not to give
Well,
council
sorry.
information. It's absurd.
Share this portion of the meeting. I think that it's good points. Let's make sure we have invited speakers, listed and selected proactively in the future, because we do not a lot of,
I
a
agree.
fair number of times where it's just helpful.
I
And
agree.
think that's good guidance to stay with our policy, and we'll just look out for that with the president's, approval maybe of the speakers ahead of time on the agenda, if that works.
There's no need for me to approve it ahead of time if they are invited speakers. I mean, we all look at the agenda. And again, as you can tell, we have repeated speakers that show up. And at any given time, they may decide that they're experts and that they would like to speak. So I'm sticking to what our policy has been. So, and nothing against our guests here in the audience, but if we do not do that, then we run the chance of having this turn into a free-for-all.
All right, so noted, and in the context of borough property, and so on that, one last item I'd like to add about the changes with them. If we're not familiar with these, like they are very important in a lot of natural areas, nature preserves hosted. It is a very standardized structure that's definitely evolved over probably a couple of decades at this point. So I think we can safely approve this, knowing that it really is a proven structure without any sort of inherent risk at this point. So are we all for making that a motion at the business meeting? Any further questions or concerns?
One other question, was there any cost to the borough?
Direct cost to the actual borough is zero. It's all being provided by the main commission, by volunteers, and also by our local resident landscaping structure. All right, moving on to the general report, we have the pool lodge HVAC condenser code issue, so the spacing issue outside. I think this should go to Mr. Breyer as well to give further details.
Yeah, I can explain that one. We had those units installed as a part of our contract with Siemens to replace our current or aged equipment with newer electric equipment. The concern is that the condenser units are overhanging a notable walkway, and our building official did provide a direct report to us as the permit holder that we do need to correct, and we're currently working with Siemens to correct the issue to ensure that there isn't, either the options are to provide a small fence or barricade to make sure no one can walk under the units, or to redirect the walkway. They'll likely, or to move the units completely, they will likely opt for the first, but we do meet with them on a weekly basis and will follow up.
Is there anything further? Any other, please? I think there's several things that are already in public works for some of the stuff.
Yeah, the pool renovation project,
is completed, other than we are reviewing the ponding issue in one area. The steps project is completed, other than Walker. And the only other one that isn't in our report that will be the next one. There is a next round of multi-node grant that you've been successful for the step projects. Resolutions are in the grant submittals due at the end of July. So at your meeting this month, you would have to have a resolution on it if you wanted to do the next set of steps. And the value there is from 100,000, I believe, up to 3 million. Your sweet spot's kind of been in the 250 to 750 range, something like that. You definitely have steps that meet the criteria that you continue your projects. I didn't know if we had a grant writer working on it, or if one of us can prepare. We can talk about that over the next week, but the resolution I would have, no matter what blank one, for the meeting, so you can vote on what you want to do. And then who prepares it doesn't matter. I can provide the cost estimates to you. So there's no matching with it, so you can ask for the waiver on the match. But
I thought we used the multimodal for the, from, the lighting along Ardmore Boulevard. Or did
we
use
submitted
another-
a separate grant for that, so the next round of what was due now, that you can use for trails, things like that.
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
For trails, steps, things like that. So,
Okay.
the one that's due now is the one we use for the step project, so it wouldn't get awarded to next spring. You would line up for it, so. I can send out information to everybody on it, but, if you do want to do any of the projects, you gotta put a resolution on it. So,
I would suggest that we go back to the conversation that we had last year involving these steps. That are still out there. The main next opportunity that being the ones that go from Fairfax down to Cascade. That's the only one that was like fully closed and has been for some time. All the rest of the steps are in passable shape. And that was one that is a big price tag before we're gonna do that. It's that would be a big grant like this. So I would suggest that we consider looking into that.
Yeah, we have also some of the steps that are in the park. So, we may want to take a look at that.
Right, main part.
Main park, there's steps that go down to the dog park. That's not ADA compliant. There's other steps that go up from the main park, et cetera, so.
I think it's definitely worth that we get something prepared for that.
that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and we have managers update, please.
The two that you have listed on here are the fallen trees from the June 29th storm. We did have two. One was a significant size tree in Main Park. It fell between the pavilions and the bollards right as you enter the park. It did crush the fence for the basketball courts. That has been since removed, and most of the tree has been removed. The tree will fully be removed through an insurance claim, so that we do not allow that to interfere with the rest of our tree budget for the year. We do, I think, have bigger questions, and maybe this is something that needs to go back to borough property. Are we replacing the fence on the basketball courts? That would be the other part of that claim that we have not, is something that will like more guidance on from committee. The other fallen tree was in Cook Park that temporarily blocked a pathway to the pickleball courts. That caused a minor disruption, but has been fully removed. As for the pool entrance booth, the other item on the agenda for this evening, the booth that you see when you walk into the pool area has been long out of commission and not been used. Through some minor updates, we've been able to put small windows in there to allow someone to sit inside. We're also working on a fan, another cooling element, and cleaning up the inside of the booth in total to ensure that someone can work inside the booth. long-term too, then it becomes a discussion of utilizing that booth better to control the flows of traffic through to the pool and through to the pool lodge, as well as potential rerouting of foot traffic to ensure more safety at the pool location. We do generally have individuals that are, in their early 20s or younger, so ensuring the safety of our staff members as well as those within the pool.
Any further questions? I conclude our operating.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bacon. Ms. Lewis, planning and zoning.
Nothing at this time.
Okay, thank you. Public Works Committee, Ms. Martin.
Thank you, President Bayeki. Now, under the recommended motions, we don't have the information for the cost and who the vendor will be for the fire department grinder installation project. However, the bids will be open tomorrow, so we'll know who that is. And we would like to get that on the agenda for this month, if we could. Now, we do have an opinion of probable cost on that, and we hope that's not more, $40,974.50. Is it okay to do it this way?
That I would want to check with Steve on in the
Okay.
morning, but I can certainly get an answer if you want to just send me an email after council tonight. And I can
Maybe, can I just clarify an element? So the motion right now, as it stands, has blanks.
Right,
What'll happen is tomorrow we'll open the bids.
right.
And then for next week's meeting, we would input the actual contractor and the actual amounts
Right.
once the bid award is open through the proper processes.
That should work as long as it's changed within time for setting the agenda, but I'll confirm with him.
Thank you. Then for the general report, so the Public Works garage restroom renovations. There's 4 items there. The $89,500 includes the general, mechanical, plumbing, and electrical construction. There's a 15% contingency for $13,425 and 10% engineering, $8,950 for a total of $111,875. I know we've been talking about this, so I just wanted to provide some additional information. And if anybody was interested, we also have the map of the change. If you guys could all just look at that and pass it on, please. How that would change the look of the Public Works garage. Mr. Thielecker kind of already knows because he told me how to go up there and look, but we'll be passing that on. And hopefully this can be on for next year's budget. Mr. DeCrossa?
I just wanted to point out that we're saving a lot of money on this, right, Ms. Martin, because the public works staff is gonna do a lion's share of the work that needs to be done.
Absolutely.
How they look, this is just very.
And it's really needed. So moving on then to the new roadmap, and the ordinance. So we're still, getting some additional information for that, but we're getting close. And, we have all the roads mapped out. Do we have anything in printing yet, or?
Yes, I have copies for everybody for this evening.
Okay.
That I can hand out, and I brought 2 different styles of map. One that will be attached to the ordinance, and the other one is more of a display map. I brought it as a sample so everybody could see it. It has a grid on it so that when somebody came in and said, "Where's my road?" You can go over, up and down,
Nice.
and it lists all the roads that are owned by the borough. So I brought that as a sample. The other ones, what I would suggest is the ordinance, you can sign it as the new street names. I also provided a list of names, both of Barbara and Krista. I suggested while the ordinance is advertised, send the information into the county to get their blessing on the names also, just in case there's something in the area that will be a conflict. I think we're okay, but we never know. There could be somebody adjacent that picked the same name, and that would confuse 911 and we want to look that up. So, so you'll be ready, I think, for the voting meeting to authorize the advertisement, if Steve's ready, and then, have the ordinance on the agenda for the next meeting. By then, all this other information should be clear. You can tell me which drawing you want and you can approve the vote.
Are you gonna pass those on?
Yes, I am.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, just a quick question. Are we required to submit GIS files to the county?
We will, in the end, update their files because we also notice that there's some names that are just incorrect. It's on your already now. It's incorrect in the county, so we'll send it everything, publish it files.
Because I know that also there are several entities within the county that touch that also include Deb Viger, who manages all of the addresses, which are critical to the deployment of 911 and emergency management. So just to make sure that that's a part of it, and even though we don't have a GIS, should we ever have one, it would be great, to have our own base data.
On the end of the day, the critical point of this item is this thing. We want this in the end to get to the public and with these enterprise. So that like Waze works correctly and wayfinding works correctly. Today, the roads don't show up correctly, the names are obscure. So once it gets adopted, then I think you send that out to everybody we can, so that Amazon can deliver to the right areas.
All of the mapping software think that my driveway is on it.
They don't know where mine is either. When I took my house, they want me to go down like 4 other places, so.
That's bad. That's bad.
No, that's okay by me.
Mr. Brad, I have a quick question. You said you're gonna get us a new display map.
Yes.
Should we update this zoning map to match the new one as well?
Yep, I will take and get that updated. Actually, I need sanitary and storm maps that we put here.
Oh, great, okay.
And we're gonna use the same for this on all of it, so, if everybody takes one of those, very hard to read. Then this is the full size, which I did not, you can look at it. And then this one, here's the one I think some public display map. John is really that so everybody can see that. The public goes to roads, and then goes all the way to road and all, so. Pass that down to all everybody. The comments on those is some of those that we need to. One further question on this, and it's too small. Are the one districts that you need? How do we direct this? Or not on the larger size, we could do an additional layer if we did that. I'd have to think about how to present that, but I think with the shade, maybe a little arrow, it shows the road in one layer.
You, yes, and then-
Thank you. While we're all looking at that, just so you know, once we get this all formalized, then we get into some additional costs with license. But there'll be a new type and it has the logo on it, so it should look nice. It'll help people out when they go to play the road. Couldn't tell, I think you know some. Mr. Jones, any other questions?
For anyone's interest who's watching or here. I think I've seen a couple of the new signs and all on the wood side, is there anything else that?
Wilkins?
Wilkins and Woodside, it's just. The intersections, there's still just a handful of around, right?
Yeah. We're replacing this goes on, because they are costly, because you have to get the whole. What the woods are doing.
The big advantage there, I assume the reason for changing what it actually says or was built something.
Yes, it does.
It's kind of easy for people to identify, especially the other workers.
I agree totally, yeah. Has everybody seen the map and it's okay? Okay, doesn't look like there's any questions. And lastly. Thank you for all the students with that, that's really great. So lastly, Mr. David and I had talked about, we were trying to get an update of the MS4 Alcoasand COA and including the regionalization and source flow reduction for our source. So I'm going to read what, Mr. Max, in terms of MS4 requirements, the total required reduction is 114,983 pounds of sediment per year. So far, the project completed with the park is rated at 16,089 pounds. The project currently out to bid is rated for 10,223 pounds. So at this point, we're only 23% of the way, but we're making big strides. For the Alcoasand COA, we're about 50% complete overall. For the regionalization portion, 29 of the 33 line section repairs have been completed. That's 88%. And all 20 of the manhole repairs have been addressed. That's 100%. Once the current regionalization project is completed, this portion will be 100% completed. Lastly, for the source flow reduction portion, all that work is under one contract that is currently going into construction. So the percentage now is basically zero. However, once the project is completed and the post-construction flow monitoring performed, that item is projected to be 100% complete. Now, I wanted us to just take a little victory lap because, you know, there's new MS4 requirements coming out that we'll have to address. But for the time being, we're on the right path. And I just wanted everybody to hear that. Unless there's any questions.
Before you move on, there's an item that's under new business that actually needs to move as a recommended motion. It's for the preventive maintenance contract. That would be under,
Oh,
that would,
is that Public Works?
for the meeting, it would be under Public Works.
Okay, then I do have a motion. Unless you want to do it.
No,
No, I believe the comment is that this one can be held for next, that can be held for next meeting. So I will move that to the next meeting to stay in line with our general cycles of voting. So because this one can wait. So this one I'll have ready for the next meeting.
right.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's going to be under your committee as a motion.
Thank you. To the Madam Public Works.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Public Safety, Mr. DeCross.
I have no motions at this time, just a quick update, we continue to work on traffic calming measures for the Verlo speed bumps, speed bumps, these types of things. And the mayor and I are hopefully going to convene an emergency services team to just review some of our hyper local approaches to things whenever there may be emergencies. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. DeCross. Moving on, old business, anyone have anything for old business? Under new business, we do have a vote to take this evening because we have lost a zoning officer, and we need to have one for some permits that are piling up that need to be approved and signed. So this is a motion to appoint Krista N. Watt as Borough Zoning Officer effective July 7th, 2026. So we need so moved. Mr. Bacon.
Second.
Thank you. We have a voice vote, please. All in favor, say aye.
Stop.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is this meant to be temporary or permanent? I don't have an issue either way, I'm just curious.
As of right now, it is temporary. If that would change, I will inform you all of the intended plan.
Super, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone
Mr.
else?
Bacon, I think had a question.
Mr. No?
Oh,
Okay, yeah, I should have asked for comments, sorry. Can we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. And that is it, unless anyone else has any other business that they would like to pick up. No, okay, the next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, July 15th And this meeting will adjourn unless there are any objections. Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.